First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us today. We've been talking a lot here, but we are live here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, and one of the things we have been covering is the Oregon Charity Championship coming up on October 7th, and there is a lot happening with that. A number of different charities all competing for a big prize, and one of the great things is we get to find out a little bit about each one of these organizations and what they do for the communities that they serve, and the Sam Day Foundation is certainly one of those. I was able to speak to Lorna Day, who is one of the founders of the Sam Day Foundation, just about the importance of the organization and how it was founded and what they've been able to do with it to help so many people. So let's go ahead and listen to this right now.
That's my favorite question. So yeah, the Sam Day Foundation was launched after I lost my son, Sam, to childhood cancer. He passed away in 2016, and we launched the organization in 2018. So we're a little over 6 years old now. So Sam was diagnosed with cancer, bone cancer, when he was 9 years old. It was Ewing sarcoma was the name of his cancer, and he fought for 6 years. So he passed away when he was 15. During that time, I learned a lot about childhood cancer, and especially about how neglected the research is, and got involved in fundraising to help contribute to childhood cancer research while he was still alive. And then it was after he passed that we decided to launch an organization here in the Pacific Northwest, because at the time I couldn't find an organization in the Pacific Northwest that would allow me to fundraise and earmark those funds specifically for cancer research for the type of cancer that he had. So a few years after losing him, I decided to be that organization that would really focus on advancing research. So we're now almost $2 million in. That's how much we've contributed to different types of childhood cancer research at this point.
Wow. I mean, number one, just to say, very sorry for your loss. And unfortunately, so many people have had to go through this, but taking this and, and using this to spur on and raise this money to help with that research is such an incredible, way and memorial for Sam, and to help out all of these other people. And, to that extent, working with the organization, can you tell us a little bit about how you're able to fundraise, and maybe even a little bit more about how those funds can be applied, and specifically, to research and help some of these scientists that are working on this?
Right. So we started, our first event was called the Sam Day Soiree, which is a gala. It's sort of your typical fundraising gala, but I like to think we do it exceptionally well. And that's partly because Sam's our inspiration, and he taught us to dream big. He was a big dreamer. He taught us to laugh often and to live well. And everything we do from this organization is going to reflect that spirit. So when we have a Sam Day Soiree, our goal is that people leave saying to each other, "That was so much fun. I'm coming back next year. That was an amazing event." We also we like to finish and with people wanting more. So they're not heading to the door to check out. They want to stick around. We have dancing. They chat with each other. And so that was our first event. We have several events that are very different, but they all have a uniqueness to them, and I think a really contagious spirit of hope. But also, Sam wouldn't want us to be sad all the time. And so we have a lot of fun, and we get pretty goofy. So that's a big chunk of our fundraising. Sometimes unfortunately, we know a lot of kids who pass away from cancer, and their families have been through what I've been through, and they've said, "We want to help make it better." And so we get a lot of contributions in honor of kids who have passed or kids who are currently fighting, and a few grants as well. So that's the fundraising side. Over 90% of our program budget goes to research. And right now we have a pretty slick program where researchers can find us and request funding. And so, for example, this last year we had 36 researchers submit letters of intent. And at the end of our whole fundraising year, we see how much money we have and how much research we can fund. And out of those 36, we were able to give 3 grants of $150,000 each. We have an exceptional research advisory committee of folks across the country who help us make those decisions to make sure that every project that we choose is exceptional and has the potential to making it to the bedside of a child who needs a better treatment. So I feel really, really good about how we treat the donor dollars that come in. And there's some exciting things happen, and they're only happening because we decided to take this on.
I mean, that's got to be a monumental task, going through 36, people applying something like that, and knowing you only have so much to give out. But I mean, to give out $150,000 each one of those to those 3, I mean, that can go a long ways toward helping with that research and probably some of those breakthroughs that could come from that. You mentioned that there is some good things. I don't know if you can tell us what some of those things are, but you did kind of tease a little bit there. Is there something you can tell us that did happen?
Sure. There's one project that we funded up in Seattle. So to give you a little background, Sam had 5 different types of chemotherapies when he was first diagnosed, all delivered at very high doses. He was admitted to the hospital every time he needed chemotherapy, and he had chemotherapy for several days in a row. One of those chemotherapies is called doxorubicin, and it's very toxic. A child is given as much as their body can tolerate, so they can never, ever have it again after they're done with their chemotherapy. It also causes heart problems that show up later in life. So if Sam had survived, he may have had heart weakness or heart failure when he was in his 30s or 40s. And this is fairly common. Well, there's a researcher that we gave $150,000 for, and she was doing a kind of a real entry-level exploration into a different drug that has the potential to replace doxorubicin with the same efficacy without the toxicity. And the data from that was so strong that she then took that to the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and requested a grant to take this research further. And she scored in the top first percentile of national grants among pediatric cancer and adult cancer, and is now moving that research, is continuing to move forward. So we could even just take that step and replace that drug. Not only will we don't want kids just to survive more, we want them to be able to live well when they do survive. But it also gives us another drug that we can use in a relapse situation if kids have to go back on chemotherapy. So it really opens up some more doors for scientific exploration for these really hard situations.
That is such a hopeful result from all of that, to see where that can happen and some of those advancements that are happening because of that. And that's in part because of this work that you're doing with Sam Day Foundation and what people, when they're donating and contributing to that. I mean, it's amazing. Something to transition into this, talking about the Oregon Charity Championship, which is all about supporting amazing nonprofits and charitable organizations. It's coming up on October 7th. So with those funds, if the Sam Day Foundation does win the tournament, what would you do with those funds? How would they be applied?
Yeah, we're really focused on funding research and managing this organization so that we can do more and more of it. I'm probably never going to be satisfied with the amount of funding that we have to give to research, because so much is needed. But that's what it's going to go towards, is doing our best work as an organization and giving those funds to research. And like I mentioned, we basically get through our fiscal year and figure out how much do we have, how much research can we support, and hopefully every year we have to say no fewer times and we can say yes more often.
That's a great way to look at it and a great thing to strive for. Well, I will ask, will you be playing on the Sam Day Foundation team?
I'll be cheering them on. I'll be there at the launch, at the shotgun start, and I'm not a golfer, so I shouldn't compete for my own organization. That's not a good idea, but I'm a great cheerleader.
Fair enough. Yes, totally understandable. I've heard that from a few people saying the same thing. I would say the same thing if it were me. You wouldn't want me on the team, but I'll definitely cheer. Well, Lorna, thank you very much. And just for everybody out there too who has now learned more if they didn't know, and if they want to contribute and be involved in any way or help out in whatever they can provide, what is the best place for them to go about doing that?
SamDayFoundation.org.
Perfect.
Especially look at our events. They're super fun. Whether we have volunteers or people who come to the gala, it's just I think it's pretty contagious. I'm grateful for everyone who chooses to step into this childhood cancer space because it's a hard space to be in. But there's something about this community that's growing that's pretty special. So check it out and step into it. It's a great way to get involved.
Well, I mean, in a soiree, who doesn't want to go to a soiree? I mean, come on.
Right.
That just sounds fun right out of the gate. Well, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time, and thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, of course. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you to Lorna Day for joining us here on Fox 12 Oregon and Fox 12 Now to talk all about that. Again, the Oregon Charity Championship is happening on October 7th, and we've interviewed a number of the different charities and nonprofits that are going to be a part of that. You can check all those out at the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel or kptv.com under the Fox 12 Now tab. And we are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom as we do every weekday between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. If there's ever breaking news during that time, this is also the place to go. But in the meantime, we cover a wide range of topics. And coming up at 3 o'clock, if you're watching live, 3 p.m., so just a few minutes away, we're going to be talking to the Oregon Humane Society about their Day of Giving. So that's, again, coming up at 3. And pretty much every time they're on, there are puppies or kittens. So I just want to remind you of that. But thanks, everybody, for joining. We'll take a break. We'll regroup. I'll talk to you then. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.